Hello, good evening everyone. So welcome to Medcity's live session, and in today's session we will have a look at the IELTS Replicated Question Paper of 7th of February 2026. That is the exam that happened this Saturday. Okay. Yes, I can see viewers have joined across the different platforms that we are hosting in. On YouTube, we are live on Facebook, we're also live on Instagram. Hi, I can see a lot of hellos coming in. As you send in your hello as comments, do not forget to share where you're watching us from. So this is a discussion of the IELTS replicated question. If any of you have attended the exam on 7th of February, you can share the question that you attempted. In this live session, I will be discussing both academic and general training, writing tasks especially. So have you written the test? Have you attended the test on the 7th of February? If yes, please share the question that you had in your writing as comments and we'll see. Because today I'm going to discuss the questions that appeared here for us in India, and in many of the other countries as well. You might have had similar questions. So you will know today. Yes. So shall we have a look at the first question? Wait in a moment. Let me see if everyone has joined. I would really love to see any comments that you share, anything that you want me to cover in the session. I'm going to deal and cover everything related to IELTS writing especially. And if you want any of your questions answered, any of your queries answered, I would say this is a platform for you to ask those questions and get all the clarifications needed. Okay, so we will start. I don't see questions coming in. Have any of you attended the test? Please share the questions that you have had in your exam. Okay, so let's start with the academic question. Was it a line graph, a bar chart? What did you have on 7th of February? All right, so we'll start with the writing task 2 question. Can I have the question on screen, please? Okay, so right now, the academic task 2, which is our essay writing, will be visible on screen for you. All right, so the question was this: professionals like doctors, teachers, and nurses are not valued as much as sports and entertainment personalities in some societies. And the tasks that you had to answer: 1, why is this so? And the second question, is this a positive or a negative development? Is this a positive or a negative development? So what category of the IELTS question does it fall under? Well, if you're not already into categorizing questions like the IELTS essay writing, that is perfectly fine. But you need to understand where this question fits in, because you need to answer accordingly. Now we know in the IELTS writing, the examiners evaluate your answers based on the 4 assessment factors that are accepted worldwide and that are released by the IELTS, officially by the IELTS. What are they? When it comes to essay writing, we have something called as task response. Then we have grammatical range and accuracy, lexical resources, cohesion and coherence. So there are 4 assessment factors, and based on this, you need to ensure that you're structuring your essay writing. So this question here, which is an essay writing, you need to ensure in your essay you've answered both these questions. So what is the main focus of this essay question here? Well, we need to understand what the question is asking you to do. They've given you a topic here and there are two questions that you need to answer, right? The first question is, why is this so? So you need to understand what is the situation in discussion. And the second question is this a positive or a negative development? So we need to understand what is the idea given here. Professionals like doctors, teachers and nurses are not valued as much. So there's a comparison between these professionals, the doctors, teachers and nurses, the academically qualified professionals, to, let's say, sports and entertainment personalities. Okay, so when this comparison happens, and who do you think the question says is more popular? Sports and entertainment. They're valued much more than the value given to a doctor, an engineer, a teacher or a nurse. So, and this is also clearly mentioned as this is something that is seen in some societies, not everywhere. So this is not a universal fact, okay? But this can be observed in certain societies. And when that happens, one, we have to say, why do certain societies have this in the first place? Second is, you have to give your opinion. What's your opinion? And the question clearly asks you, is this a positive or a negative development? Okay, so you have to say either it is good, it's a positive development, or you have to say no, it's a negative development. Now, if it was a standalone question, that is, the only task that you had to answer was, is this a positive or a negative development? It's easy, right? You can either say, yes, it has both positive and negative, or it has more positives when compared to negative. You can take various stands. But here, there are two tasks that you have to answer. And when such questions come in the exam, what I would recommend is, you have a time constraint, right? You have 40 minutes and you need to answer this essay question in at least 250 words, which is not a Herculean task, but if not planned well, you might end up not completing the essay. And you have to answer both these questions. So what I would say is, it is much more safer to either say, yes, this trend where sports and entertainment personalities are given more importance is either a positive development or a negative. You can stick to one instead of saying it has both sides to it. That's easier, okay? All right, so what are the points that we can come up with? Can any of you share any ideas that you feel are relevant here? What do you think? Why? Let's answer the first question. Why is it that sports personalities, or let's say even entertainment, film stars, they are given more importance than the doctors, teachers or nurses? Why do you think this is happening? Please share them as comments if you have an idea about it. Any idea why? You can share in your comments, why do you think this is happening? Well, of course, one big reason that you can quote is media exposure, right? That is, what do we see on TV? Let's say on newspaper, when you take out a print edition of any publishing, what stands out? Yes, of course, a chunk of the information that you see on media, be it TV, social media, is about these celebrities, film personalities, sports personalities. So the kind of media exposure they get is so much more when compared to what teachers or nurses or even doctors get. So one reason could be the kind of exposure they get on media in general, social media, television, maybe even print media, okay? And the other is the kind of maybe the commercial profit they make could be another reason. Okay, why they are valued so much, right? So what are the other reasons that you can think of? Maybe these kind of personalities, when it is either celebrities, sports personalities, there's a lot of glamour and glitz associated with it. That could be another reason. Well, when it comes to writing your essay, choose around 1 to 2 ideas and then include that in your answer. Okay, so if that is what you can answer with for the first question, now the second question here is it a positive or a negative development? Do you think that focusing more on sports personalities, film stars and celebrities, they're given more value than the other professionals like doctors who serve the society, who help the needy, maybe teachers who educate the youth, children and youth? They do not get as much of focus as the celebrities get. And quite often we consider that a celebrity in especially the field of film or sports, you feel that they have so much freedom, right? You feel that they do not have the pressure that probably a doctor or a nurse has, right? But how much of it do we actually know? We associate it with glamour, we associate it with glitz, we associate it with money making. But at the same time, these celebrities who are valued much more, they also are given a kind of power or status in society. And if utilized well, that can take us a long way. Now, when thinking in those terms, probably that could be one reason to quote it as a positive development. You can speak about how the celebrities, because they have such widespread acceptance, not just with youngsters and youth, even with the older generation, they can be used, or their position can be used in a very positive way, right? They can run campaigns, they can spread awareness, they can ask people to contribute to certain social causes. And we hear it out loud when a celebrity asks us to do something. Remember the ad that all of us have seen growing up, we've seen this on TV, where we have Amitabh Bachchan coming and asking us to donate our eyes. Now, when Amitabh Bachchan comes on screen and asks us to donate, that's when we realize, yes, it's important to do that. Now, that's the power, that's the status, the privilege that celebrities have. And these celebrities need not just be from the film industry. It could be even politicians. There are politicians who have attained the celebrity status, right? So, yes, if you're considering this as a positive development, these are certain points that you can mention. But if you feel no, it is negative. So positive, we've just seen as what ideas we can possibly include. And if you feel no, it's a negative development, then maybe you can talk about how priorities, how society gives priorities to maybe films and music more than any other social causes. Okay, any other social or healthcare related causes. So prioritizing the wrong things, that could be one way you can say no, it's a negative development, because we give too much of focus on stardom, on celebrity, on films and on entertainment in general, and not any other aspects that should really be considered, like healthcare, education, upliftment of the poor, the needy, and so many other global problems that we have to address at the moment. So you can say the focus moves or shifts from that to celebrities. That's why you think it's a negative development. That's a possibility. Great. Have any of you shared your ideas? Okay. Well, quite a few of you are watching us, but I don't see a lot of you contributing in terms of maybe points that you would like to add. Well, let me tell you, at this point, it's fine if it might not be the right point, or it's okay if you make mistakes. That's perfectly fine, because this is a learning platform. All right, having said this, so this was the writing task 2 essay question for the academic question paper. I hope you're clear with how you can answer this. Now, let me take you to another question, the task 1 academic question. It was a line graph. I want you to show it on screen for everyone to see the question. It was a line graph that was asked. So, here you can see the graph on screen, I assume. Right? So what is the title of the graph? It shows the percentage of money spent on advertising, and the time frame given here is from 2010 all the way up to 2040. Okay, and what does the question say? Let's read the question. The graph below shows the percentage of money spent on advertising from 2010 and the predictions for 2040. So we have time frame right from 2010, which is in the past, and we have the predictions for 2040, which is in the future. So when we answer such a type of graph, it's important to be aware of the tense forms that we need to include in our response. When we talk about the time frame 2010 and 2020, because right now we are in the year 2026, we will consider both of them as the past. Of course, they are the past years. And so, to describe these two time frames, we are going to use the past tense. But when it comes to 2030 or 2040, you have to use the future time reference here. Okay, and that's important to show the distinction between the different tense forms while describing. And you can definitely see a lot of different lines here, right? What do these lines show? What do they represent? Well, we have one which represents the percentage of money spent for advertising on TV. So TV ads. And how do you distinguish the different lines? How do you understand which line is which? Well, you have a key given here. Can you see the key? And this key will help you identify which line stands for what. Like the line that shows data for TV advertisements have a line and a square box. So that is indeed this particular line. This is a line for TV. If you look at the next one, which is newspapers, you can see it is dotted lines with a circle. So dotted lines with a circle. So that's this one. So this is the line. The second line from the bottom, that is the line that shows the percentage of money for advertisement on or in newspapers. In newspapers. What about magazine? You can see the line with the square box, which is the last line, the lowest that you can see in the different lines that are there on this graph. Okay, that stands for magazines. Then we have radio, which is the dotted lines with the diamond kind of shape, and that is the line for radio. And this line that is very different from every other lines represents the internet. Of course, well understood that yes, a lot of money goes into advertisement on the internet when compared to newspapers, magazines, or any other medium. So how do you answer this question? Well, here it's given, the data is given in percentage. So we say, let's say, if it is 10, you say 10% of the money is spent on so and so. Let's say this line, this with the triangle is for the internet. So in 2010, only 10% of the money was spent on advertising on the internet. Okay, but what happened in the same year? If you look at the line for TV, you can see, but a whooping 50% of the money was spent on TV. But, so it's a comparison. Or I can say in contrast. So I say only 10% of the money was spent on internet, on advertising on internet, while in the same year, around 50% of the money was spent on advertising on TV. So you can see a big difference there, right? But when you compare the year 2040, I'm not going to tell you how you can write the entire graph, but I'm just taking bits and pieces here so that you get an idea of how you can do the comparison. Okay? But if you look at the data for 2040, what do you see? 2040 is this particular, yes, from 10% of the money spent on internet by 2040, what is expected? You're not sure. You just forecast it. You feel that is how it's going to be. And this is not just a feeling. It is probably information taken from data. Okay. So what is predicted? So you can say it is predicted that by 2040. Okay, I can use that form. I can say it is predicted that. Or I can say it is expected, or I can say the expenditure on advertisements on the internet is expected to reach a peak value of 70% by 2040. So here I will not say it will be 70% of the expense by 2040. No, I cannot be 100% sure about it. I can just say that it is expected to reach 70% of the expenditure. Okay, so just keep these distinctions in mind. Just keep these distinctions in mind when you are answering a line graph, a bar graph, a table, or a pie chart. Look for the year. How is data given? Do you have the years given? Time frame? Yes, it's given in years. Look for what category do these years fall in. Are they all past? Are they all present? Is it a combination of past, present, or past, present, and future? Or is it just future? Okay, so have a clear understanding of that, and it is based on that you will decide on what tense forms to use while describing your chart. So make sure you look for the year. Make sure you look for the unit. Here it's clearly mentioned as percentage. So when it is percentage given to you, how do you say? 70% of the expense, 10% of the money spent on. Okay, never use sentences. I've seen a lot of students do this. Okay, this is one big mistake I've seen students make, and you shouldn't be making the same mistake. Do you want to know what that mistake is? Well, I'll tell you in a while. Just keep that in mind. When you see percentages, how do you describe it? This is one area you need to be careful, because percentage is where many students make this very silly error. It's a slip, and this is something you can correct if a little bit more attention goes into this. And the mistake that students make is to describe or to represent the percentage in a very wrong sentence format. So imagine writing a sentence like, the expenditure was 70%, or the expenditure was 10%. The money spent was 10%. 10% of what? Which is why we write it in a different way. Okay, you say it as around 10% of what? 10% of the money, the entire money that you have, out of which 10% was spent on. Okay, 10% of the money spent on. Okay, clear? So this is a mistake students make, and please stay clear of it. Now, yes, we know when it comes to a graph, we recommend to structure it in 4 paragraphs, where you begin with the introduction, you come up with the overview, which is a sentence or two highlighting the main aspects that you see in the graph. Like you see something big or something very small, those are the major areas you need to mark or mention. Or identifying the trend. What do you see? Do you see an increasing trend? Do you see a fall? Do you see fluctuations? And based on that, you can decide how you're going to structure your entire report writing. You know you have 20 minutes for the task, and you have to answer in around 150 words. So yes, you begin with the introduction, you go all the way to the overview, then you have the first body paragraph and the second body paragraph. So this is how you can structure your response. Okay, if you have any questions on what I've just discussed, please feel free to ask me those questions that you have. I think I've clarified everything in what I've just discussed, which is great. I don't see questions popping up as usual. All right. Okay, so this was the academic writing question, which appeared on the 7th of February, last Saturday. And our students, majority of our students, had answered this question. Yes, I will also be covering the questions that appeared in the general training question paper. Right? I know you're excited to know about that as well. I know we do have a lot of GT aspirants. We popularly call it as GT, general training as GT. We have a lot of GT aspirants. And to ensure that we cater to these GT aspirants as well, our team of educators at Medcity International Academy, our team of trainers, we collate these question papers, okay, every week. And we ensure that our students get the best of it. We ensure we include it in all our discussions. It is used in all our practice materials so that our students are abreast with the best, the latest that is happening in the IELTS. And as a part of collating the questions and ensuring that all our students get the latest, we at Medcity International Academy thought, why not give it out to all our well-wishers, aspirants out there preparing for IELTS, probably on your own, which is perfectly fine. But when we come out live like this on the different platforms that we have, which includes YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, we intend to make this freely available to all aspirants across the globe. Please feel free to use this platform to get all your queries regarding IELTS answered completely free of cost. And if there's anything you feel I feel I cannot answer, I promise that I'll come up with the response in the upcoming live sessions we have. Like I can see a lot of people watching us. I can see Nernobi, Anup Koshi, Gianet Joromo, Polidas, Camila Nina, Laiji John, Mohammed Mustafizur Rahman, Nijita Grace. I think there are certain names given in, probably I don't understand the scripture. It could be Marathi, Urdu, Billy Britton, Irma, Nazir Khan, Papia Sen, Tessie Mariam, Aman Kumar, Priya Raj, Virendra Kumar Saroj. So we have quite a few of our aspirants actively watching us and joining us live. And like I said, please use this opportunity to ensure all your queries are answered. I'm checking out all our platforms right now so that I don't miss out any of you, or I don't miss out any questions that any of you have asked me. So I am as I'm speaking to you, I'm also checking the different platforms that we are live on right now. Okay, so let's have a look at our general trading question paper. We will start with the GT task 1. And before I show it to you on screen, can you tell me what was the question? Any guesses? Was it a formal letter writing? Was it an informal letter writing? Was it a semi-formal letter writing? What do you think? Can you answer me that? Well, you can see the question on screen right now. So what is it? Which category does it fall into? Is it a formal letter writing? Is it a semi-formal letter writing? Or is it an informal letter writing? Okay, I'm waiting for your response. Is it formal? Informal? Okay, so let me read the question for you so that you get an idea in which category this letter would fall under. So it says, you saw an advertisement that your local sports center is giving swimming lessons. Write a letter to the council saying that you're interested and ask for more information. So here the reader is the council. So when we're writing a letter to the council, of course, it's not a family member, it's not a friend. So this isn't an informal letter. Is it a semi-formal letter? Now, a semi-formal letter is when you are, of course, writing a letter to somebody in power or authority, but you know each other. You're writing to your immediate supervisor, your manager, probably you're writing to your tutor, your trainer, your head of the department, probably you're writing to your landlord, your neighbor, okay? These would fall under the semi-formal category. Now, if you're writing to someone in power, like the council here, you're writing to the president of your country, you're writing to the maybe the police inspector, okay? So you're writing to somebody in power. You know the person, of course, you would know the president of your country, but the other person doesn't know you. And that's when it becomes a formal letter. So this category, what you can see right now, this falls in the formal letter category. So we're writing a letter to the council, and what should we ask them? One, you have to say you're interested in the swimming lessons that they're providing, and two, you have to ask for more information. Now, the idea here when it comes to a letter writing is to create a story, okay? Now, at this point, let me say I've seen students make this mistake, and what is it? Some students copy the exact same words that they see in the question and write it onto their answer sheets. Like, they might say, I saw an advertisement that the local sports center is giving swimming lessons. What did I do here? I've just copied the question exactly as it is, word by word. Now, when that happens in the IELTS, remember, the IELTS is testing your language proficiency. They're testing how good you are with the English. And if you tend to copy exactly the same words already given to you in the form of question, that isn't your own language. That is copied English. And why should the examiner waste their time correcting something you've copied from what is already supplied to you? So keeping this in mind, not just for general trading, for the entire IELTS test, even for your writing and the speaking, make sure you don't use the same words that are there in the question. Okay, don't use the same words that are there in the question. Now, how do you stay away from that? The simple, technique, or I would like to call it a trick for general training especially, is to create a story. You saw an advertisement, it's fine, but you have to say where you saw this. The advertisement could be in the newspaper, could be on TV, on social media. That's when you start creating the story. So where? So if I say social media, I've written SM, that means that is where I started creating the story, saying I saw an ad on Facebook, I saw an ad on Instagram. And local sports center, give a name for it. Give a name, a random name. Okay, so I saw an ad on Instagram that, and you name your sports center, that the lucky local sports center is giving swimming lessons. So you start creating a story there. Where did you see it? The name of the sports center, and probably if you know a name for the swimming lesson, you can give that as well. It could be a 15 days lesson, it could be a 1 month long lesson, or it could be an intensive 3-month course. Okay, so giving names, giving life to these terms, creating a story around it is the easiest method to get a high band in your writing, as well as to stay clear of any negative marking from the examiner, because if you copy the exactly same words that you see in the question, you're going to lose marks. So you start creating the story. You're saying you're interested, now you have to create a story there. How much of swimming do you know in the story? Are you already a good swimmer? Are you a beginner? Probably you've had swimming lessons before, but you're not a professional yet. Or maybe you've never ever swam in your life. You've never ever swam in your life. Okay? You've never gotten into water, maybe a pool or the beach, but you want to. So what level you are at, okay? So that's where you're continuing to create the story, and you need to ask information based on that. If you're a complete beginner, somebody completely fresh, you need to know lots of things, right? Like how easy is it going to be? Will you learn in that duration? If it's a 3-month program, is there a guarantee that you learn in the 3 months? How many hours a day you need to spend on, and so many other questions. Now, if you're already a swimmer and you just need to maybe brush up your skills, you can say, I might not need the entire 3 months. Can you cut it for a month for me? Because I'm already good at it, or I have a competition coming up next month and I want to prepare for it, practice for it. Okay, so you start creating a story, and that's how, based on your story, that you decide what information you need. Because then you have to answer these 3 questions, the bullet points that you can see on screen. If you answer all of these 3 in separate paragraphs in your letter, and you meet the other requirements of a full letter, you get a good mark. You get a high band. I can guarantee you a 7+ band if you do that. Now, what are the questions? One is, how well do you know swimming? We've already discussed this. Are you a beginner? Are you a professional? Are you at the intermediate level? Why are you interested in the lessons provided? Like I said, I have a competition coming up next month and I just want to brush up my skills. Or since my childhood, I've wanted to learn swimming and I've never gotten the opportunity, but this is the first opportunity that I've come across. So that's my reason. Okay. Or maybe I want to stay fit. I feel I'm a little unhealthy. I live a sedentary life. I sit at office all day. So I feel swimming will help me exercise my body, whatever your reason is. And then you ask for additional information based on your reason, right? If it's a competition coming up next month, you need to know how quickly you can cover it, how many extra hours you need to put in, and would you get a personal trainer, and so on. If you want it for exercise, you will give additional details like, do you have any illness? Do you take medicines? Do you have any physical condition that the coach should be aware of, and so on. And then you ask, based on all this, what kind of training should I take? Okay, will I get a personal trainer? Will I need to take extra lessons? How much would the cost be, and so on. Okay, so this is how we're going to create a story and come up with a complete letter. Wasn't that simple? Okay, I hope this is indeed being helpful, and all of you who are watching us right now finding good use of the discussion. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you have so that I can cover them Answer those questions right now. Okay, now we have one more question to discuss, which is the writing task 2. Let's have a look at that as well. The general training students also have had a task 2, an essay writing. So let's see what that question was. Okay. Okay, so right now on screen, I have added the question for all of us to see and discuss. So the question says, many young people are doing the same type of job as their parents. Yes, to an extent. I know families of doctors, both parents are doctors, and so naturally it becomes a very natural choice for the children to become doctors as well. I know parents who work with the central government, and so their kids would also aspire to work with the central government. Okay, so this is definitely something that is happening. It is a truth, all of us know, but what is the question? Why is this being asked? There are two questions you need to answer. The first one is, why is this the case? Why do children or young people choose the same profession as their parents? First one. Second question, are there more advantages or disadvantages to this? Again, an opinion is asked. Do you think the advantages of choosing the same profession are more, or do you think the disadvantages are more? You have to choose. Now, personally, I would recommend choosing one of these in your essay because it is not a standalone question, right? If it was a single question that you had to answer, like the question just asks you, do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or are there more advantages than disadvantages to this? That's the only question you had to answer. Then yes, I can go ahead and say there are far more advantages when compared to the disadvantage. Okay, that's fine. But because this is not a standalone question, there are two questions that you need to answer. It can be categorized as a two-part question. First, you have to say why this is happening. Second, you have to say what is more. So at this point, to answer the second question, what I would recommend is choose one. You either say the advantages are more, or you say the disadvantages are more, and just write that. That's also possible. Okay, so let's explore some ideas into this. Why is it happening? Why so many young people are doing the same type of job? If my parent is in the film industry, it becomes so much natural for me to enter the film industry, the acting field, as soon as I am young enough or old enough. Okay. Now, why does that become a natural choice? Why do you think so? Maybe we can think about the comfort factor, right? You have somebody to guide you. Imagine your parents are already doctors. They know what is best for you. They know the best practices. They know what to look out for. They're careful. They've tried and tested things all their life. So you have the best coaches and the best trainers right there in your family. Another reason that you can probably quote is, isn't it a natural choice? Like, as a child, I've seen my parents do that. Imagine they're actors. I've seen my parents go act, get stardom, become famous, make a lot of money. I've just seen this happen all my life that it becomes so much a natural choice for me to get into the same field. Like, imagine I've grown up seeing my dad create programs, software development. Wouldn't it become natural for me to try the same at a very young age and probably get into the same field? Yes, so that could be another reason. Maybe you can say it could be a kind of pressure from the society, so societal pressure, like well-learned academic parents should have their kids go in the same way. Now that could be the reason why young people choose this. Okay, expectations from the society, from the parents. You can quote a couple of reasons. I would say 1 or 2 reasons is good enough. Then you have to also answer the second question, right? Advantages are more, disadvantages are more. Now let's talk about the advantages. What do you think are the advantages? Of course, like I said, you already have a coach and a trainer ready. Somebody who has experience in the field will be able to guide you better, right? That's an advantage. Okay, they can tell you what to do and what not to do, so you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to learn through your mistakes. You can learn from their experience, and that will ensure you reach at a greater level quicker, higher level quicker. Now, if it is a disadvantage, what do you think you can write? One thing is, it could be a lot of pressure on the youngster. Now, because my parents are doctors, I tend to take up medicine, but maybe I do not like it. That's not my area of expertise, my interest. I might not do really well there because I don't like it. But just because there's a lot of pressure, I need to perform in the same level as my parents, I take it up, but I might end up being a complete failure, right? And it could also be that I have a natural talent. Maybe I'm good at singing. Maybe I'm a dancer. Maybe I love making things. I'm more creative. But I end up taking up medicine just because my parents are doctors. So these could be the disadvantages. Maybe giving up, being unsuccessful. And let's imagine my parents are they have a family business. So quite natural for me to enter the business. What happens? There is nothing new happening because the ideas that we have in the family stay in the family, right? So I might not think out of the box. I might not bring in something new. I might just follow what is already being done. I might just continue the system instead of innovating things. Now, these are certain disadvantages. So based on these points that we've just discussed, you can decide how do you want to write your answer. You can either say that yes, there are these advantages and list them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can say no, there are disadvantages like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can list them accordingly. All right, was that clear? Okay, now coming to certain things that you should be careful about when it comes to your IELTS writing. Make sure you have a very clear plan. You know you have 40 minutes for your writing task 2 and you have 20 minutes for writing task 1. Make a clear plan of how much time you will spend in the 20 and the 40 minutes. As in, would you be writing the entire 40 minutes? No. You need some time to plan your answer. You need some time to think, right? You need to brainstorm, come up with ideas and examples. You need to think of how you're going to lay out your entire write-up. What will come as a first paragraph? What should come second? So have a clear plan. Take some time to plan your write-up. And then ensure you have sufficient time to write it. If you have a good plan, a strong plan, you can easily fall back on the plan and come up with a very neat writing in just maybe even, if it's an essay writing, out of the 40 minutes that you have, you just need 20 minutes to write an essay. The first 10 minutes can go for your planning, and the last 10 minutes can go for your proofing, revising your essay, read through, identify mistakes, and make those necessary changes. Now for the 20-minute task, which is task 1, 5 minutes can go into planning. You can decide how you're going to structure the answer, how many paragraphs, what data you will pick up. If it's a letter writing, okay, you need to create a story there. So planning of 5 minutes, you create your story. And the next 10 minutes, you can write your report or your essay, your letter. And the last 5 minutes can be used to proof the entire write-up. Go through it once again, identify where you've gone wrong, add in details, make spelling corrections, and so on. So, a very mandatory step to get a 7+ band in your writing, be it academic or general training, is to proof your answer. Make sure you get at least 5 minutes to quickly go through your response and make the necessary changes. A lot of students have told this, that they have got a 0.5 or a 1 band more just because they have proofed the entire writing, because as they were reading it again, they found out so many silly mistakes. It was not things I didn't know, but because I was in a hurry and I was writing, I made silly errors. Tense errors, spelling errors, unnecessary full stops, certain places no full stop, capitalization issues, and so on. So when I proof it, I get the opportunity to make those necessary changes, and that would get me a half band or a 1 band more. So instead of staying stuck at a 6.5, you need to get a 7 or a 7.5 if you ensure you proof your answer. I would say the same strategy goes on for the planning as well. Without a proper plan, if I start writing immediately, I end up making a lot of mistakes. I need to find time to erase certain things and rewrite, and then decide, oh no, it's difficult, I don't get enough points, and then I mess up, and then I somehow write it. So planning is equally important. If I have a strong plan, I know exactly what ideas I want to write, I know what my opinion should be, and so on. And that becomes so much easier for me to quickly write the answer. Now, I have a small surprise for everyone who's been watching and who've been staying with us for this long. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm also going to share with you the reading passage of the IELTS exam of February 7th. Now, at this point, let me tell you that it is not easy to get a reading passage. Like I said, at Medcity, we ensure our students, both offline and online students, get access to the latest materials. Okay, they get access to all the latest questions. We try and collect as many as possible, even with speaking all the latest questions that are asked in the exam, so that our students are well prepared when they go for a test. And keeping that in mind, we've also been able to collect one reading passage out of the 3 passages that happen in the IELTS test. I'm going to quickly show you the passage. We will not have sufficient time today to go through that in detail and discuss the answers, but I'll just give you a look at the passage. I'll give you a glance at the passage so that you get to know, yes, this is happening. And if you were one of our exam takers of February 7th, you might very well know, did this passage really happen or no? And you will also know by now the kind of training we provide here at Medcity. So let me take you through the passage. Okay. So can I have the passage on screen? It might not be legible as much. Like I said, I'm not going to discuss this in detail with you, but this is just a glimpse. So probably at the end of the live session, you can watch us at this particular point. You can zoom in to be able to read it, but this is the first section. This is the second part of the passage. Questions 14 to 26. So this is passage 2 of the IELTS test. So this type of question that you can see here, this is matching information. It says choose the correct letter A to H. Reading passage 2 has 8 paragraphs, A to H. Which paragraph contains the following information? So you read a question, you match it to the paragraph. So this is matching information. Then the other kind of question that we had was, okay, you have multiple choice, multiple answer question. Choose 2 correct answers from the option. Okay. And the third type of question here you can see is the no more than 3 words from the passage, complete the summary below. So you can see the blanks here. You need to refer the passage, fill in the blanks, and you can write no more than 3 words, which means your answer could have been a single word, 2 words, or up to 3 words in each blank. So these were the 3 types of questions in the reading passage, the academic reading, passage 2. So, and this is how we train our students. Thank you. I think that's what we can show on screen. So this is how we train our students with the latest that is in place, with the best materials that are available, so that both our offline and online students are abreast with the latest that's happening in the IELTS. And for each one of you, we plan to give the same out live for every aspirant out there. And I hope today's session was helpful. Please do not, worry about any queries that you have. Just add them as comments. If not in the session, in our upcoming sessions, I'll ensure to cover all these queries. And you want me to discuss anything more, in the upcoming live sessions that we have, you can add them as comments so that our team, when they go through these comments, they will bring it up to me, and definitely I'll include all of these aspects that you're looking forward to in our live sessions. And the intention here we have at Medcity is to ensure that every aspirant out there for IELTS get it free of cost using the social media platforms that we are available in. You can make the best use of these resources that we have. We also have our IELTS app, Medcity IELTS app, which is available for free download. You just need to look up for Medcity IELTS app. We have lots of video lessons, 70 plus hours of video lessons in all the 4 modules: listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and a lot of practice materials that we have uploaded on the IELTS app for any aspirant out there who want to learn on your own. And let me tell you, we have aspirants who've completely cleared their IELTS, not just with just a 7 band, but an 8.5 band by using our app alone. There's a lot of free resources available on our YouTube channel, on our IELTS app. You can use them. We have our learning management system, our LMS, which also has courses. We have our offline classes available across 18 branches in Kerala, and we have our online team supporting aspirants globally. So we have students from across the world taking up our online courses. So I hope with this session today, this is a live session after a very long break that we've had. But the kind of queries you need us to answer or sessions we need to plan completely depends on the comments you share with us. So do not forget to share your feedback in comments. You can use any of our platforms that we have here, the YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, to reach out to us. You can check us out in any of our branches. Of course, on our website, you have all our contact details to get in touch with us over phone or email. With that, I hope today's session was useful for the some of you who've been dedicated from the start to the end and have been with us on any one of these platforms that we are hosting live today. Yes, I think that will bring us to the, okay, so there's one question. Okay, thankfully I've just noticed a query that has come up on our Instagram page. Priya Mohan says, which exam is best for nurses to move abroad? Well, Priya, at this point, I would say it depends on which country you're planning to. Well, if it's an English-speaking country, we have 3 exams that most nurses take up. Of course, the IELTS, we have the OET and the PTE. All 3 are accepted in majority of the places. Of course, IELTS is accepted almost everywhere. When it comes to OET, you need to check which employers accept it. Again, with PTE, the same. All these 3 exams are very similar when it comes to the format. The 4 modules are being tested. OET is more profession related, so you will read maybe medical related passages to answer questions. IELTS and PTE are more general. That's the difference. Now, if you're planning for Germany, of course, it's German language that you have to plan and prepare on. And let me also tell you that we have a German workshop coming up. On 21st of February, we're coming up with a German workshop in Kannur, Kerala. And on 28th of February, we have a free German workshop in Kochi, Kerala. So you can check out, if you're somewhere close by, you can visit our free German workshop and get to know more about the opportunities in Germany. Ayank, PT writing tips and writing tips. Definitely, I will share some. I've already shared IELTS writing tips here. For PT writing, everything that I've discussed with the essay writing, the format, the structure, answering both the questions or the number of questions that are asked. In PT, mostly it is about, do you agree or disagree? That's a kind of question that you mostly see. In such a case, I would recommend that you have a very clear opinion. Do you agree with the topic given? Do you disagree? If yes, you can mention that in the introduction itself and make sure your paragraphs are framed accordingly. So thank you for asking these questions on Instagram. Ayank, Taslima Nasreen, thanks for the support. Thank you. And Priya, I hope I have answered your question. If you need to know this in detail, you need to have a discussion with our counselors. Please feel free to contact us. I'll ask our team to pin on the contact details in the chat so you can get in touch with us. Online workshop, Priya, definitely we'll consider that because you've put up this question. Can you tell me where you are, Priya, right now? Which exam is best for the German language? Mijanur. Mijanur, we have 4 providers for German language. I mean, this is not a German platform, it's an IELTS platform that I have a live session now, but I'll answer that question for you. We have the ECL, we have the TELC exam, we have the OSD and the Gyote exams. Now, again, Mijanur, where are you? Can you tell me that? Based on that, I can probably answer your question. Same with Priya Mohan, if you can tell me where you're watching from, I can, give you the possibilities of attending the workshop online. Please don't forget to answer that. Okay, so Priya Mohan says she's in Coimbatore. So because you're in Coimbatore, and Priya, if we have many such requests from our candidates, definitely we will have an online workshop. So Shyam, if you're watching this, Shyam, you can please share your contact number with Priya Mohan so that she'll be able to get in touch with you. Priya, you can get in touch with our counselors and we'll definitely guide you on when our next online session will be. We'll have one soon. You can join our online session. And Mijanur, since you're from West Bengal, I would say you can consider either Gyote or TELC. Again, it depends on how easily these centers are available in West Bengal. So both these exams are the same format. They have the listening, reading, writing, speaking. TELC will have an additional grammar paper which checks your vocabulary and grammar. Both are available in many of the centers. Just check which is reasonable and you can join accordingly. And Mijanur, we will have an online German workshop as well. Please feel free to join our session so that you can get these queries answered. Akash asks, ma'am, any offline classes? Of course we have offline classes, Akash. Like I said, we have 18 branches across Kerala. We have a branch in Bangalore. If you tell me where you are, Akash, probably our team can get in touch with you. Where are you watching from, Akash? You can join our offline branches for IELTS, OET, PTE. We have German classes as well. If you want to know more about our branches, you can just check our website, medcityinternationalacademy.com, and we have all our locations. So Akash says Kopal. I'm not sure which state that is in. I'm really sorry. Okay. All right. So with this, I'd like to know about NCLEX, mandatory to take NCLEX classes for a year. Okay, NCLEX, I would say again, it depends on where you stand, how fresh you are out from nursing, are you into practicing, do you remember the concepts? Because NCLEX is more or less an application exam where you will have to look up at the scenario. You will be given different scenarios and you answer questions based on that. So that's testing your clinical skills plus your theoretical knowledge. So I would recommend that you take anything from 3 months to a year's course. We have both options available. You can check our website for details on the nclex-rn classes. Ayank, right now we do not have a branch in Hyderabad. Details on German classes, definitely German. Get in touch with our counselors. Or at the end of the session, our counselors will get in touch with you over a message on Instagram and they'll help you with the contact number. Akash, in Karnataka, we have a branch in Mangalore. If that's close to you, you can definitely walk into a Mangalore branch and have your sessions there. Thank you so much for making this an interactive session right towards the end of our 1 hour live. Next time we hold a live, I would urge all of you to come right at the start and we'll put up a notification earlier so that all of you can join and get your queries clarified. I hope this was an interesting session. Thank you so much. Good night.